welcome. This is Ukulele Basics Lesson 2. We will be covering the left hand placement and the right hand placement. Okay, for the next couple slides, we will be using the E string 2nd fret for these examples. Okay, if you're placing your finger correctly, your finger should be directly behind the fret, and you should feel just a little bit of that fret under your finger on the side. Okay, just like this picture. Okay, what you don't want, okay, you do not want your finger directly on top of the fret. Okay, this can lead to a muffled sound when playing, so this one we want to avoid doing this. Okay, so that's no good. Okay, we also want to avoid having our finger in between two frets. Okay, what's going to happen is you notice that there's a space over here where the string is right next to the fret, and what's going to happen is if we put our finger in between, the string is going to be buzzing against the fret right over here. Okay, so this one is no good either. Okay, and the last one that we kind of want to point out, you want to make sure that you're not doing the opposite, where you're putting your finger too far to the previous fret. Again, we want our finger right behind the fret. Our finger should feel just a little bit of the fret against the side of the finger. And again, because there's all this open space right over here, the string can buzz against the fret. So this is also not good. Okay, going into where your finger should be pushing into the string. Okay, so looking at this picture right here, you can see that the tip of the finger is pushing the string down. Okay, if you have long nails, proper finger placement will be very difficult, where your nail is probably going to end up hitting the fingerboard first rather than the tip of your finger. Okay, in this example, okay, you can see how multiple fingers are pushing on different strings, different frets, but we are still maintaining the use of the tip of the finger. Okay, the tip of the finger is pushing down on the strings. Okay, and again, hopefully you can see that if you have long nails, making this kind of shape and making it sound clean will be difficult. This is an example of what we don't want. Okay, if we're just learning to play and we're just starting off, a lot of times our fingers are not used to doing this kind of thing. So our fingers, the tips, tend to get a little bit sore, and that's natural. Okay, but over time, your fingers will get a little bit more used to it. You'll start developing some calluses, and you'll be able to use your fingertips more and have it not feel sore. Okay, but again, if we start doing this, this is not going to help with maintaining a clean sound when playing your chords. And you can see right over here underneath the third finger, we can see that the third finger is actually touching the A string. If this were a chord and we're trying to play it, this would sound very, very muddy. Okay, so we don't want that. Okay, here's an example of proper finger placement when playing an F chord. Okay, you'll notice that the second finger over here is pushing the string down with the tip of the finger. First finger is using the tip of the finger, and both fingers are not touching either of the open strings. Okay, this is what we want. Okay, this is why proper finger placement and using the tip of the fingers to push the strings down are so important. Okay, for the next couple slides, these are going to be some short examples on how you can be picking. Okay, this one is going to be showing you how you can pick with your thumb. Okay, so for that example, I hope you were able to see how the thumb was going across of the strings, and it was not pulling the string away from the ukulele. Yeah, the motion was going in this direction, yeah, not that direction. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay, this next example is going to be using the index finger. Okay, please look carefully as to what area is hitting the string and what area is not. Okay, so I hope you could see that the motion is very similar to a brushing motion across of the strings, and you could see that when the finger was going in this direction, the nail was hitting the string going across. Okay, so again, a lot of times students will start asking me, well, how come my finger's getting sore? It's because they're either using the side of the finger or the area above the nail. So make sure your nail hits across the string. That way it doesn't hurt. This, okay? And when coming back across, this meatier part of the finger was hitting the string. So again, going this way and coming back, if you're using the proper spaces, it really should feel just fine, okay? This is another example of the same motion but a different angle to give you an idea of what it looks like. So again, hopefully you guys can see that it's very similar to a brushing motion across of the strings, forward, back, forward, back. Okay, now we're moving into our second lesson on music basics, and we're going to be covering note values. Okay, the first note that you need to be aware of looks like this. And this is called a whole note, and it is worth 4 beats. Okay, right now, all you need to know is that the whole note, this symbol, can appear on any of the 5 lines, any of the 4 spaces, and whenever you see it, regardless of the line or space, it is still a whole note, and it is still worth 4 beats. Next note. Looks very similar to a whole note. This one is called a half note. The biggest difference is now we have this stem pointing down. Okay, the stem can also be pointing up. And like the whole note, the half note can appear in any of the 5 lines or 4 spaces. Okay, the difference here is this half note is worth 2 beats. The next note looks very similar to a half note. This is a quarter note. Okay, quarter note has the note head filled in. It still has a stem pointing down. It can also be pointing up. This note can appear on any of the 5 lines or 4 spaces, and a quarter note is worth 1 beat. And the last note we are covering. Okay, these are 8th notes. Okay, now I know you see 2 of them. Okay, they can come as a pair looking like this. They can also come in a set of 4 or individually. Right now, all you need to worry about is when you see them, see the notes like this, they have stems and they also have a beam connecting them. Okay, these are 8th notes. Okay, and like any of the other notes, they can appear on any of the 5 lines or 4 spaces. Each individual 8th note is worth half a beat. Okay, again, I know there's 2, okay, but each 8th note is worth half a beat. Okay, so that's the end of our second lesson. If you have any questions, please ask me in class. You can email me, and you can also refer back to this video.